welcome to this Return to Wellbeing series. My name is Taylor Sains from the Active Harbour team at Harbour District Council. I'm here with co-presenters Hussein Khan and Jake Bertoni from the South Leicestershire School Sports Partnership.
Hi, I am Jake and I'm the Health and Wellbeing Officer at the Learning South Leicestershire School Sports Partnership. The Return to Wellbeing podcast series will focus on supporting children's mental health needs as lockdown is gradually lifted and they return back to school. In today's episode, we'll be talking about self-confidence.
Hi, I am Hussein, the Development Manager at the Learning South Leicestershire School Sports Partnership. I would like to welcome our very special guest, Steve Hagan, who is a martial arts instructor for Martial Arts Mastery. Steve helps children achieve their best through martial arts. Steve's nurturing style of instructing centres around developing personal skills, which includes confidence. Steve will tell us a little bit about his journey with self-confidence as well. So Steve, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Steve Hagan. I'm one of the chief instructors at Martial Arts Mastery. I've been doing martial arts for the past, every time I say this I feel ridiculously old. I've been doing it for 22 years. So I actually started when I was 7 years old, and the main reason why I got involved was my mum saw an advert in the local paper about martial arts building people's confidence, and she sort of looked at me and saw me that I had no confidence whatsoever. I wouldn't say boo to a goose, I wouldn't talk to anyone, so she kind of dragged me down for my very, very first lesson, which was at Glenfield Memorial Hall, 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock. I only remember that because I watched The Simpsons before I went. And then, so she took me down, and I remember it very, very well that when it was actually Master Spencer, who's the founder of Martial Arts Mastery and is still my coach, who taught me for my very, very first lesson. He was only 17 years old back then as well, so he was quite young. And I remember it very well. And the question was, what is it you really want Steve to gain through one of our martial arts programs? And what my mum turned around and said was, she explained about my confidence, explained that I couldn't really talk to people, I wouldn't look people in the eyes, that when we went shopping together and she bumped into a friend, I'd literally hide behind her leg. And at 7 years old, that's quite drastic when I look back at it now. But she also turned around and said, well, every time he stands on one leg as well, he kind of falls over. It's really embarrassing. So we kind of want to sort him out. And that was really the start of my journey. And then when I was about 14 years old, I'd recently become a black belt, and I was at class in Quorn, and the instructor, for whatever reason, hadn't turned up. I don't know why. And so me being me, I just thought, you know what, I'll teach this class. It's something I really wanted to do. And so I taught this class, mixed group of kids and adults. And then that was it really. And then from there, I started assisting in class with Master Spencer. And then very, very soon after, I became a full-time instructor with Martial Arts Mastery. And that was really kind of how I got started.
That's brilliant. So can you tell us a bit about what confidence is?
Yeah, of course. So before obviously I came onto the podcast, I thought I'd do a little bit of research, and obviously I have my views on what confidence is, but I wanted to kind of get the dictionary definition, which is, obviously anyone can look this up, the feeling or belief that one can have faith or rely on someone or something, which is quite an apt, obviously, description. The way I tend to kind of explain confidence is it's all about the level of self-belief that you have in doing certain actions, making your own choices, and kind of standing by what you say and what you think. That's a big, big thing. So that to me is really what confidence is. And you can have so many different versions of confidence. You've got confidence in different situations. For example, someone who may be very academic will have no issue with maybe studying, tests, coursework, that sort of thing, because they have the confidence and belief in their own ability. However, someone, let's say, who's really academic but maybe not very sporty or very much in sports or activity, they might have a real big confidence shock when they move into that kind of field. Just like someone who's, let's say, incredibly, let's say a really, really good rugby player might be incredibly gifted on a rugby ball in their hands. They know what they're doing. They've got full belief, confidence in their actions. Put them in front of a maths test, they might suddenly go to pot. But that is very much part and parcel about being an individual, being human. It's not something that's kind of just one fixed thing across the board. It varies and it blends so much in different situations.
Fantastic. Really good definition, and you've related it to a lot of people there, I'm sure. You've told us a little bit about your journey with confidence in your intro. Can you go into that in a bit more detail for me, please?
Yeah, of course, happy to do so. So obviously I've already mentioned that I started when I was 7 years old, and I had no confidence, wouldn't really talk to people. And it wasn't one of those things where I started martial arts and suddenly became really, really confident. it took a very, very, very long time for me to even start to show signs of growing confidence. When I was in martial arts, when I was doing that sort of thing, my confidence was fine. I didn't really put my hand up in class, I didn't really volunteer myself to be borrowed. It was very much a case of I kind of had an understanding of what I was doing and I felt okay in doing it. But when I was in school and the teacher asked a question, the question might have been, what's 2 + 2? Now, obviously, I know the answer, but there was no way in heck I was going to expose myself to put my hand up in the air and risking getting it wrong, despite the fact that I knew the answer 100%. So one of the big things that sort of held me back with regards to confidence was a massive fear of judgment from other people, a massive worry of, well, what if I get it wrong? What if I say this wrong? What if I put my hand up and I go to say it and I say it in a really high-pitched voice, whatever it could be, and just the fear of being ridiculed, the fear of being picked on and bullied, which I was heavily bullied throughout my school experience. So one of the big things for me, as I started to grow up, as I started to learn more and more about the psychology of confidence, was starting to have the courage, not the confidence, the courage to put my hand up and put myself out there, to have the courage to, in a group of my friends, if they were saying something, to kind of chip in, to kind of add in my 2 cents. If my friends were trying to get me to do something that I know was wrong, to have the courage to go, you know, that's not right, I'm going to stand by what I think and go my own path. So that was quite a big one. A short kind of, I suppose I can link this one in there, was, especially my teenage years, I got into a very, very bad crowd, group of guys who were very heavily involved in drugs, heavily involved with alcohol, that sort of thing. And I remember I gravitated towards them because it wasn't so much that they were friendly or anything, it was just a case of they kind of accepted me to a level. I fell into this really bad crowd, lots of negative, bad behaviour, lots of bad attitude. And I remember the only thing that kind of changed me on that was I'd kind of made a decision with where I wanted to go in my life and become an instructor to help other people. That was my big thing, help people to build their confidence to become the best they can be. I mean, that's the whole mantra of martial arts mastery, which is be all you can be. And I remember walking through Bonnelly's, and I remember walking past this young kid with his grandma, and as I'm walking by having a cigarette, I remember looking at the kid going, I know him. I teach him on a Wednesday at Badminton College. I know. I remember having to hide the cigarette and trying to make myself look scarce. He didn't see me, he didn't recognize me. But I remember walking by going, it was kind of a wake call. Like, I'm living 2 separate lives here. I'm living a life where I'm helping kids, helping people to be the best version of themselves through health, well-being, understanding, self-realization. And yet here I am out on the street smoking and then walking off to go get some more alcohol. And it was like, this can't happen. This is not going to be congruent. So I made the decision there and then to go, you know what, I can't keep doing this. I've got to kind of make a decision for me. So I made a decision to kind of cut off contact with these guys who sadly were quite nasty about it. I got lots of threatening messages, things like that. But I just had to stay consistent with where I was going. And since then, I can't say I made the wrong decision. It was definitely the best decision for me. And it's given me so much in my life. It's given me business. It's given me the belief in myself to do these kinds of things, like even doing this podcast and having to talk and listen to myself speak for ages. It's terrifying. I'm not a very talkative person, believe it or not. But yeah, so it's been giving me the courage to do that and move forward in my life in that respect. So yeah, it's been quite interesting journey, to say the least.
Oh, that's brilliant. It just shows what a bit of confidence can help you do. So how can confidence affect what you do?
It can affect in so many different ways. It can depend on what end of the spectrum you want to go to. Someone who struggles with confidence, has very, very low self-esteem, very low confidence, it can affect their lives in such a negative and drastic kind of way, not just physically or just due to mental health and mentally, but also socially, economically, so many different things. Obviously, economically as you grow up. But it can have such a negative effect and profound effect and lasting effect. I know I've taught people in their 30s and 40s who struggle with confidence massively. And when you speak to them, when you have conversations, you can kind of look at, and when they tell you the choice they've made, you can see exactly why they've made their choices. And it's not because they're not good enough. It's not because they're not smart enough or fast enough or fit enough. It's because they have that voice in their head that says, I'm not enough. I can't do it. And they listen to that voice so much, they've conditioned themselves so much to listen to that voice, that even the idea of taking a step forward, it seems alien to them. So it's a very, very interesting one in that respect. So it can affect you massively on a negative level, but just like that, having positive levels of confidence can affect you in such a positive way.
That's great. Thanks, Steve. So in terms of your story, how do you think you overcame your confidence issues or your fear of judgment, as you put it in the previous question?
Two ways I can go with this question. I could say some really cool stuff, or I could be very open and authentic. How have I overcame it? I haven't yet. I'm still on the journey. I'm still doing it. It's never something that you kind of tick a box and that's it, done for life. You have to keep on working out. It's very much a never-ending journey of self-reflection, self-discovery, and the willingness to do what scares you. You have to consistently put yourself out there and face rejection, face being told no, face being told you're not good enough, face being told you messed up again and again and again and again. And the whole idea is just to keep failing your way forward, keep making mistakes, keep going wrong, keep messing up, keep saying the wrong thing, and just learn as you go. But understand that on this journey, you're going to have negative emotions. You're going to have the nasty things come up, the feelings of the anxiety, the doubt, the worry, the fear. All this stuff is going to be coming up with it. But if I try and go through, if someone comes to me and says, I want to build my confidence, but I don't want to feel scared, I don't want to feel anxious, I don't want to feel worried, I don't want to feel judged, help me do that. I think the easiest answer to give them is it cannot be done that way. You have to feel those feelings in order to build your confidence. You have to kind of overcome these hurdles and challenges to do that. So yeah, you just have to keep, for me to keep overcoming mine, I have to keep putting myself out there, I have to keep messing up, I have to keep failing. But with every single failure, there will eventually come a success. There will eventually come that time where you kind of look at it and go, I got it, I finally did it, that's brilliant. And then because you've had all the failure behind that, that success means so much more. And that's when you really develop the self-belief and a reference point to look at and go, well, if I was able to do that, surely I could do this as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for going into really good detail. Next question we're moving on to now is something you've touched upon slightly, but does confidence always remain the same or does it differ?
Not a chance. It always varies. It always varies. It's very much linked into your emotional state as well. Someone who's got high vibration, high emotional state will tend to feel more confident more of the time. Doesn't mean they feel confident all the time. I know people who have seemed like the most confident person on the planet. When you actually have a one-to-one discussion with them, they were terrified. They were literally like walking around like with their stomach rumbling and sweaty hands and everything. And you're like, well, how? But you made it look so easy. Doesn't mean they weren't scared. But confidence, it will always change. Your life experiences can affect that. If something traumatic or bad happens in your life, that's going to affect your confidence, whether it's for better or worse. If someone says something to you, that can affect it, can wobble it. But the idea is just to keep on moving forward. So understanding what it is you want, where it is you want to go, and keep moving forward in that respect. That's what really affects it and helps it.
So for anyone listening, who would you suggest could help improve their confidence?
There's so many people out there. There's so many people you can speak to. There's you can even use YouTube to help that. There's so many different channels out there that give some really good advice, some really good kind of stories and points to take on board. There's so many people. I think the best thing you can do in regards to building your confidence in whatever it is to kind of decide what it is you want, where it is you want to go, and then find someone who already has what it is you want. For example, if you have a certain vocation, a certain career path you have in mind that you want to follow, find someone who's already in that path. Speak to them, get their story, find out what it was they did, the hurdles they had to overcome, and then move forward that way. Other people you can speak to some holistic therapists. They can help quite a bit. Obviously, therapists can help as well, but it all depends on how deep you want to go. But ultimately, the only person who can really improve your confidence is yourself. The analogy I tend to give it when it comes to when people ask me how do you build confidence, it's kind of a bit of a myth that you build confidence. You're not born in this world without any confidence whatsoever. You have to build it. You have to build it from nothing. You're kind of, the way I always look at it is you're born with like 100% confidence, the belief that you can kind of do anything. Hence why babies, toddlers learn to walk. If you look at how many times a baby and a toddler fall over when they're learning how to walk, It's unreal. But yet we look at someone who's, let's say, 15, 16, 30, 40, they get one little thing goes wrong and that's the end of the world. A good analogy I use for this is the sun always shining? The sun is always shining no matter what. Even at night time, the sun is shining. It's just shining in a different place of the part of the world. But what tends to happen on a day, obviously not like today, today's really, really nice, it's just clear blue skies. But on usually in the UK weather, we have clouds, and clouds kind of obscure it. So the analogy I kind of give is, you as a human being, you are like the sun. And that sun, if you want it to be a brighter day, you don't just get a rocket into space and go and try and get the engineer to fix it and turn it up. And that's not going to work. What you can do is you can get rid of the clouds. So for a human being, we are 100% confident we are the sun. But what tends to happen is, as we grow up, we get told we're stupid, we get told we're idiots, we get told we're not good enough, we get told whatever it might be. And then those clouds kind of creep in. So the most efficient way I've found of getting rid of confidence is to kind of deal with that internal stuff. So getting rid of those clouds, getting rid of those thoughts and beliefs that you're not good enough. Now, it sounds really cool, sounds really nice. Is it easy to do? No. It does take a lot of time, it does take a lot of work, and it does take a lot of courage to do that. If I look back at all the black belt gradings I've participated in, all the hell I've went through on my martial arts journey, of the training, etc., that is 100 times easier than dealing with that stuff. But is dealing with that stuff worth it? Absolutely. And in my opinion, yeah, it's essential in order to be all you can be. It's essential to deal with that if you want to live your best life. And that's really it.
I think that's great. I think it's a really open and honest and realistic account of actually what confidence actually is. And, you know, confidence is a journey. As you said, it's not easy to find confidence, and to gain confidence. So I think, a real realistic account of what, and relatable for children and young people in South Leicestershire. So thank you very much, Steve. I've got one student submission from a student at the Robert Smythe Academy. So 3 top tips that students who are struggling with their confidence could use to help them.
Okay, first tip I'd give you if you're struggling with confidence is to move your body. Move your body as much as you can. Reason being is, when you're exercising, when you're moving your body, when you're using your body, it releases a lot of chemicals, a lot of endorphins into the bloodstream. All the kind of feel good chemicals get released into your body. And when you do that, you're far more likely to make a better decision than as opposed to when you kind of sat in your bum watching TV all day. Especially if someone watches reality TV, it's the worst thing for your brain. I don't like it, can you tell? But being able to move your body, being able to exercise, a good one for that is like resistance training, bodyweight exercises, press up, something that's going to allow your body to feel it. So running's good, but I'd always recommend, if you're going to do running, do some resistance training as well. Tip number 2, don't judge yourself based on where you are now. Don't negatively judge yourself. It's okay to look at where you are now and go, I don't like where I am, and that's okay, but don't judge yourself because of it. Don't go, well, I'm not getting this grade in school, so therefore I'm stupid, I don't like it. Don't judge yourself. Just take stock of where you are now and go, that's okay. What can I do to come forward? What's my next step moving forward? The third one I'd give is probably something that I've read. Don't know how true it is, but it does. The principles are very, very sound. It's something I encourage all my students to do as well. If I'm not mistaken, it was something that the Navy SEALs had a bit of a challenge with. They had a massive fail rate on their entrance kind of tests, and they were like, well, we can't make it easier because we are like the top of the top. So what can we do to help people to get through this without making it easier for them, without lowering the criteria? So what they kind of came up with was getting people to kind of celebrate every little success. So for example, brilliant, you've made your bed, congratulations, there you go, well done. You brushed your teeth this morning, yeah, you got it, great job, well done. Oh, you managed to get out of bed this morning, brilliant, well done, great job. And it's just something simple like that. What it does, it kind of builds a foundation of success. We tend to look at the little things we do and kind of go, well, you just kind of expect to do it, but we forget to take the pride and take kind of the props for doing those little things. And when we start to do that, it does make a difference. So the biggest practical tip I can give you is to kind of set yourself a kind of a daily goal, daily target of things to do each day. Whether it is, if you're someone who's really low in confidence, really low in self-esteem, and just get out of bed in the morning as a challenge, celebrate it. Have that, allow yourself to feel I achieved something there, because you did. Because I've been there where you've literally had your alarm go off, and you've kind of looked and gone, I do not want to exist today. I just want to stay here and not move. I don't want to face the outside world. I've been there. So celebrate that. I've had days before where just even getting out of bed, I've managed to do that, but just getting dressed is like, I just can't be bothered. I don't want to today. I don't feel good enough to do it. But just celebrate that. Celebrate the little successes. So set yourself little targets every single day, and every time you achieve it, tick it off, and then build yourself moving forward towards something. So that's a big one. That's something that's simple that anyone can do. And also a little tip to be on that is be careful not to judge yourself based on what you put on there. If you feel like putting something on there, put it on there. Don't feel silly about it. You might feel silly about it, but don't allow that to override what it is you're doing. Keep taking the actions.
I think there's some really important points there, Steve, you talked about. I think, during the lockdown period, that motivation and celebrating small successes it was massive for me in particular, because obviously it's not usual. We're in a strange time, and coming through that and having the confidence to come through that was really important. And secondly, you talked about sort of not judging yourself. And I think in this day and age, it's easy to judge yourself because of social media. And the influence of social media. And if you look at someone's Instagram story, for example, of how they're living their lives and how they look, it's easy to judge yourself against that. And I think it's important to share that social media isn't actually a reflection of someone's life, because it is just probably the best moments of someone's life. So I think it's important that young people understand that, you shouldn't be judging yourself externally against other people, because I think that can also lead to a lack of confidence, and also some anxiety about the way you may look, or the money you have, for example. So I think that's really important to understand as well. So I think you've outlined some amazing points there, Steve. So thank you very much.
That's huge. And just coming on social media there, that's probably one of the biggest impacts in our psychology. There's a good you say yourself, but there's a good analogy of when you look at someone's Instagram, you're basing your movie on their trailer. You're not seeing the bits behind it. You're not seeing all the negative. I mean, I know I've known so many people on Instagram who have put up fancy cars, etc., and then when you actually do speak to them, you do actually meet them, it's not real. It's completely fabricated. It's completely false. It's one of the reasons why I very rarely use social media. I use social media to stay in touch with my friends. I use it for the business, but I don't enjoy social media. I can't stand Instagram. I don't touch it. The most I've used is Facebook. I mean, even my fiance, she's just come off all social media completely, and the difference she's had in her mental health and her state of mind and her well-being has been incredible, absolutely incredible. It's been amazing to witness. So yeah, I mean, one of my biggest things would be, obviously, in this day and age, social media is seen as kind of a requirement. But if you can just kind of limit your stuff on social media as best you can, the better. It makes a huge difference.
So that's brilliant. Thank you so much for talking to us today, and thank you for listening to this episode. If you have any questions about anything we've discussed, please comment below.